I'm the CEO of ChromaWay. So our company were the first to do blockchain 2.0 ID. Back in 2012, our CTO Alex made the first implementation of colored coins. Then he led an open source project that split up in several companies in 2014, and we've been running this company for over a year. Most known customer is LHV Bank. We're doing a euro-based payment solution for them, and we're also working with Thunderbeam, a second customer. About me, my background is I've been a developer for a long time, 25 years. Studied economics at university, though, worked with finance and IT. Wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I ran like a Web 2.0 startup and got to know Alex, who became the Bitcoin guy. So this is the second company we do together. So among the founders, it's me from Sweden. I got Alex Misrai, known as Killer Storm, from Ukraine. He's the CTO and a good thinker on cryptocurrencies and similar technologies. Also on the tech side, you can say, is Ido Bentov. He's graduating with his PhD now. He's been working on Bitcoin protocol improvements and things like that, doing research. Quite known for the proof of activity paper that was co-written by Alex, Manny Rosenfeld, and Charlie Lee. We got Or Perelman, who is working on the business side with me on the marketing and sales. He has a background. He actually co-founded the first user-friendly Bitcoin wallet, SafeBit. That he was featured in the first ever article on TechCrunch about Bitcoin. So that's pretty cool. He's been in this space for some time. Then we have developers and people helping us with business development. We got Brad Peary on the West Coast in the USA. Here in Sweden we have Ludwig Öberg working with business development and developers from Sweden and Russia and Germany. Yeah, so Bitcoin is a network and it's a currency, and we are basically reusing the platform aspects of Bitcoin. So we reinterpret. Basically, with our protocol, we say that a small amount of Bitcoin represents something else. So now we can trace it on the Bitcoin blockchain. And we have a reputed issuer that issues assets, like a bank that issues euros. So you have a contract with a bank and movement on the Bitcoin blockchain. So that way we can reuse everything that is good with the Bitcoin infrastructure and network effects and atomic transaction and so on for currently something that customers want, like euros or equity. So that's the naive or the simple parts of colored coins. But you can also consider it that you can actually implement more clever features and still base it on the Bitcoin blockchain. If you colored coins is like a one-to-one function from input to output, but if you can also consider that you can have more complex things in the middle, and that's what we're doing with our new smart contracts technology that we're working on, trying to expand this model to allow more complex. Mm-hmm. So our next application would probably be trade finance and applications of smart contracts. So that's a very interesting subject. Yeah, I mean, originally there was some. I haven't really traced what was the first idea to use to base something on top of the Bitcoin and be able to transfer other assets on the Bitcoin blockchain. But Alex in our team, he found these discussions about marked Bitcoins and stuff like that on Bitcoin Talk and similar forums. And also there was a blog post written about it. And so he thought that he wondered if someone is implementing it. And no one was, so he did the first proof of concept implementation directly on the Bitcoin core. and then an open source project was formed around it with several that was interested in this concept. So Alex led that development. A white paper was written later by Manny Rosenfeld. I think it was Manny.
Mm-hmm. So just to come back to the original conversation on Bitcoin Talk was around marked Bitcoins, and that was that initial posting was picked up by Alex, or
I guess so. Yeah.
So do we know who opened that conversation up?
I don't remember. There's a signature, I think.
Yeah,
I don't remember the name.
The community around the idea formed a open source project.
Yeah, it was an open source project for several years until it was mainly, Alex was first doing development and then leading developers, but it was very poorly funded, I would say, because there was no pump and dump scheme involved.
Mm.
So there's no real way for people to monetize and make a lot of money on it. So that's quite slow developer involvement. Yeah, very little external funding in the team. So basically, there was a lot of discussions about standardization and things like that. But that were different.
Yeah, I've got the first colored coins implementation around the CTBC branch of Bitcoin. There is a commit on your history page.
That was Alex first.
Yeah.
What we know is the first code for colored coins, but that was not really used in production. There were different protocols that were evolving over time. OBC was one protocol that means it was like an order-based coloring that was improved, and now there are several protocols. Some are based on OP return. Our protocol is based on tracing satoshis, basically, on inputs and outputs. So our protocol that we normally use, EPUBC, and we use for the bank case, is it has some advantages that you can have very high number of input and outputs and stuff like that, which you can't cram into an OP return data field of 80 bytes. We believe it has advantages for security as well compared to some other protocols. Yes, there are trade-offs, and different protocols are good for different things. So yeah, there are different views about protocol, if there should be one protocol or several protocols, and my thinking is that there are different requirements for different applications, and one protocol won't fit all. For example, I was in the US and right now for a week and met with American banks and so on and discussed various applications. And one thing that came up was the need for private data on the blockchain, and none of the existing protocols support it in a good way, but we have an idea how to do it, to have everything secret about the volumes. So that could be a requirement for one application. Then you can, at least with our software, we have built it in a layered manner. So the protocol level is just one part of the stack. It can easily be replaced for another protocol. So basically, the rest of our software will keep working. So if you want to have this private colored coins implementation, you can still use our software. We just need to do a custom protocol for that. And also maybe you want to use one of the OP return based protocols in combination with our protocol, and that's totally possible. Like commit to data on the blockchain using there's a lot of protocols. If you go to Blockstack, for example, that's open source community, there's a lot of people working on different OP return based ways to augment the Bitcoin feature set. It's nice if we can have protocols that can be linked to each other and that we can cooperate between, go between assets and things like that. So, but I mean, our background is as in the open source community. We've been trying to do this standardization attempts, and we've always been open to discuss with other companies and so on about that. Had some meetings in the US with other color coins companies as well to see if we can cooperate.
Is there quite a few companies in the space now then?
Yeah, I mean there are those that are doing their own protocols and that, and then there are companies that are doing applications on it, and platform thinking, and you know.
What about
quite a lot of companies? Yeah.
But specifically in the protocols area, what I think was it 5 or something?
Yeah, like
originally. I saw
historically, it was first the open source community, and those protocols, a few. Then I think that CoinPrism was first to do their own outside of the open source project, and about the same time CoinSpark, and then later this year Colo as well.
Yeah.
Kind of focusing more on the more complex parts. I mean, if you look at the interest in this kind of technology, it started by quite primitive financial products like currencies and gold and so on, and the concept around smart contracts has been something that's been talked about, but no, hasn't been so far any really concrete use cases. So, but what we want to do is to, both do a new smart contract protocol that is done in a new way compared to the existing ones, like Ethereum and Aries and so on. And we want to apply it to something interesting. And trade finance will probably be the first thing.
What typical customers are you seeing, displaying an interest in your services? I mean, you had LHV Bank, for example.
Yeah.
I presume you reached out to them, or did they reach out to you? I mean, are you getting approached, or?
Actually, we were approached. They had been scouting the field for some time. They're run by a serial entrepreneur, so he's interested in exploring new ideas. They're probably more fast-moving than a lot of other banks. So I've been meeting up with Vitalik and looking at Counterparty and other competitors, but yeah, found that this is a more stable solution, and also that we thought that our team could be suitable to deliver something that was useful for them. Otherwise we've been outreaching as well, trying to connect with financial institutions and startups and so on. It's a bit longer sales process, I would say, but you see there are some banks that are looking at proof of concepts and stuff like that, but then you never know what will happen after the proof of concept stage. Mm-hmm. It seems, well, at least in the United States, that the Bitcoin is kind of out of fashion right now. Mm-hmm. And private blockchains is the current focus for a lot of banks. But maybe that's a pendulum that will change. I don't know. I think that there are some... a lot of people don't understand this technology, and the writings of a few can sort of... I can hear them repeated. When some famous bloggers write something, I can hear them mimic it by the banks or the VCs I talk to the next week, basically. So the few really good thinkers about this, and so far the biggest objection is there's more focus on private chains for legal reasons, at least in the United States. I'm not sure that those are valid points, and also there are some theoretical criticism against basing other assets than Bitcoin on the blockchain, for example, high-valued assets that can affect Bitcoin security. So there are some theoretical aspects as well.
Okay.
And Bitcoin is still very, very important subject in the academic research community, but they are always kind of outside of the discussions in the media. When we started out, the interest was from entrepreneurs, basically. For example, Halsey Miner of BitReserve looked at the color coins, and that was one of the first leads we had. Then he did it in his own way. We had some other entrepreneurs in the real estate field and so on. Then we found LHV Bank. After that, we've seen, basically in a year, we can get meetings with a lot of banks. Every bank has some people looking into blockchain technology. They have research labs exploring various things. So in a year, from zero interest from banks to at least some interest. Of course, banks are very, very big and they have a lot of resources, so of course they should be at least looking into this, but at least it's definitely signs of an expanding interest, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, the deal that R3 made with several banks to try to cooperate on some kind of standards, at least shows that there is an interest. I don't see that many actually applied cases. Of course, the tickets would be one thing that would be on color coins, I guess. Things like that. Coupons, maybe. Some non-financial assets being moved. In the future, there can be all sorts of access tokens and things like that. But it's not like we have seen a lot of really successful business cases around it yet. So it's still in the early phases, I would say. So I think that, for example, trade finance, where we have a lot of shipments going around the world, international shipments, that could be an interesting aspect of using blockchain technology, where you would have like GPS trackers integrated and different parties auditing documents and signing off stuff. So that's why we're thinking about that, and it will also be that we evolve the color coins model to be able to do much more interesting stuff. But that's something. But of course, what would be exciting would be, I think, might not be the technically most interesting thing, but from a society point of view, that'd be very exciting, is to have registries of property, of land and so on represented on the blockchain, to be able to avoid corruption and things like that, particularly in developing countries, for example. That might be in a more interesting when you don't have any strong existing governmental frameworks for things. If you could implement it on using blockchain technology, that could be awesome. One of the aspects with developing is you need to have ownership and be able to know who owns the land and sort of be able to transfer it in a secure way.
But I'm just thinking, what if you had like two private blockchains, like what's being proposed in the and they both claim ownership?
I believe that all of this will be integrated with a legal framework. So it's just one piece of evidence moving things on the blockchain. But I still think that you can be able to go to court and claim things. So compared to Bitcoin by itself, which has a value in itself, that might be more difficult to reclaim. But even for this system using blockchain, I think that courts will need to have a place.
But then you're still relying on a third party. I mean, like you said, in developing countries, then what if those courts are corrupt? They favor one blockchain over another.
Yeah, so you can't solve everything necessarily, but it still can be perhaps diminish the need for. You'll have perhaps you can. Yeah, I mean, guess you need some kind of
centralized authority.
Yeah, I think. That should be the most real world scenario I see, that you will have courts as well, whereas the blockchain is one piece of evidence.
Do you have any comments on how you see that legal framework being constructed? Or
I don't think it's that difficult, is it? If you can, a signature is a signature, and the movement of asset is signing signatures, then you have evidence. Is it this? So I think that people saying that it does not work with our existing legal framework, I think that's a fortune teller scenario. We will see if there will be aspects going to court if they hold or not. But I guess that legal entities are obliged to look at evidence and evaluate evidence. So,
have we got any examples that we are able to look at?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, the companies we are working with, both LHV Bank and Funderbeam, or equity-like, investment in companies, at least I can say. So they're of course looking at the legal aspects of what they're doing and talking with legislators and framing it in a legal way, what they do. So it doesn't seem impossible. There's also, you can solve all these aspects with KYC and so on. I think with existing technology.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to add? Specifically that maybe I've missed out?
No, I don't have anything really important to add that you haven't discussed. It was an interesting interview.